Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Brave, Bold, and Unfiltered. I'm here with my son Sean again. And if you watched last week, you might be going, they're wearing the same clothing.
His coffee's at the same level.
That's even more telling. Guess what? Yeah, that's right. We're recording these suckers back to back. And typically we change clothes just for interest since this podcast is also video. But I don't feel like it today.
Yeah.
We're not doing it. That's it. We're not doing it. So we have been talking about Burn the Map. My latest book, I actually think it's my best book, which is really cool because, so there's been so many great things said about Still Standing After All the Tears. And that's kind of been, even though I've written a couple more books, that's been kind of the book that I've been known for. This book, I think, is so much more universal, right? Because Still Standing After All the Tears was much more about my journey through Jamie's addiction. And then obviously it was a helpful book.
Mm-hmm.
It really helped people that were going through anything, but it was so much more focused on that journey.
Yeah.
And I think that this also tells a lot about our story since Jamie's murder. Because we've been dealing with almost 9 years. Almost 9 years. It will be
only a month away.
Yeah, as we're recording this. By the time it'll be maybe a couple weeks away.
What's today, the 27th?
Yeah, today's July 27th.
Tomorrow, 1 month from tomorrow that she's been gone.
She's been dead for 9 years, and we haven't had a trial yet. And so there's no closure, no such thing, but we still have that. And so anyway, we do share a little bit more about that. We're going to share one aspect of this, of that process in this chapter. So we're in chapter 3, which is called The Big Fat Lie. And the reason I call it The Big Fat Lie is this is the big fat lie, that courage is reserved for those people who run into burning buildings or fight for their country, or they're just wired that way.
Yeah.
That's what courage is reserved for. And that is a lie.
Yeah.
And I also think sometimes it's an excuse. I think that, someone like we talked last week, we mentioned your grandma, my mom, which of course we love her dearly, but fear ruled so much of her life. And I think that she probably thought, no, that she succumbed to it and probably was a believer that, those people are courageous, but not me.
Yeah.
I'm not like that. And that's just not true. She could have been.
Yeah. There's so many videos that you'll see online if you're, just curious to see them. But they'll do these social experiments where a person pretends to be in trouble or whatever. Like a woman will give someone the hand signal of like, I'm not okay. And it's amazing how many men will look and like kind of, oh, gee, that's not right. And you can tell they're thinking someone ought to do something about that. Not me. And then it's always a guy who's, I'm just going to say what I'm thinking. It's never some big jacked super kid. It's always some dumpy potato who's like, I don't give a shit. This is wrong. And runs over there to confront the guy. He's got courage. He doesn't, guy can't fight me, but he can't do anything. But he's still,
But something inside him rose up.
This isn't right. Yeah. And you'll see a lot of these big guys and strong guys that'll walk right past it. Oh, someone ought to do something about that. So it is a choice to not have courage in that moment.
Totally.
So
you know what? So you were telling me something. I hadn't read the article because it just happened today or yesterday. Yesterday, you were telling me that story about the guy at Walmart, and then I went on to look at it, and that's such a great example of the moment you're talking about. Either someone should do something about it, or something rose up inside, and he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're talking about Derek Perry in Traverse City, Michigan. The reason I wanted to say that is everyone always knows the name of the stabber, but never the name of the person that stopped him.
So true.
So his name is Derek Perry, Traverse City, Michigan. He was shopping with his family, and some random whacked out dude came in with a knife, fold out blade, and stabbed 11 people, including, if you watch the video, there's like an older lady who looks like she was in a wheelchair. He stabbed her.
So he just started randomly stabbing.
Yeah, just started randomly stabbing people. And
people are running away.
Yeah, so it's hard to know exactly what happened perfectly, but based on the article and the interviews of people, this guy, Derek Perry, had a firearm on him, legal right to carry it, didn't pull it initially, tackled the guy, and like pinned him against the things and got him outside and got him away from everybody after he'd already just stabbed a bunch of people when he would have been well within his rights to just end his life. Then he followed him outside, pulled his gun on him, and that's where you can see a video of he's following the guy around the car and he's yelling at him, put the knife down, get down on the ground, like, you're not leaving. And again, I know people's thought is, it's not that courageous to pull a gun on somebody.
Huh.
I disagree. You just watched him stab 11 people. You know that he has no regard for human life. He's willing to take your life. He's this close to the guy. I think the courage to not shoot him when he would have been well within his rights, and he could have completely ended the threat.
Yeah.
Right then and there, he could have pumped 3 or 4 rounds into the guy, killed him, and nobody would have batted an eyelash. The courage to continue approaching a person who is a guaranteed violent criminal who just tried to kill a bunch of people, to continue getting into his space and confronting him and not using deadly force to just end all the fear.
And say how many lives he saved, too. Who knows what...
The sheriff said who knows how many countless people would have been stabbed. I mean, it's a Walmart.
I don't know if anyone died.
It's a Walmart on a Saturday. 6 people in critical condition, 5
So he stabbed him somewhere serious.
5 are okay.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, and it's 11 total that last I looked.
You know, the reason that story is interesting to me in this context of this chapter and what we're talking about today in this episode is that, once again, people will look at that and go, oh, he's one of those guys. And he might be. He might be one of those guys that's just super courageous, naturally wired that way. I don't know. And they'll think, well, thank God he showed up, like you said too, right? Well, thank God someone did something, because or I would have, But here's the real backstory of that. If you think about it, let's back the train up like 30 minutes, an hour. I don't know. When he went shopping, what was he going to do that day? Buy something.
Yeah, well, it's not like he was ready. Even if he had training, which I think he did have some sort of
security,
security training, but that doesn't mean that you're just ready to go. And on a Saturday afternoon shopping with your kids.
Yeah. So what I was thinking about when you told me that story and I mentioned it to you is that when we talk about this overcoming fear, not letting it overtake our lives, is we're always standing at a crossroads. Well, we're standing at crossroads in lots of situations, not even having to do with fear, although it's probably at the core of everything. But you're standing there and you're like, there's a decision. Sometimes there are decisions you can take time to make, and sometimes you go shopping at Walmart and you are confronted. And I was telling Rich about it after you told me, and I literally said, Rich, I pictured God looking down and going, this is a moment.
Well, anyone can be a shepherd in that moment. And I know this is going to come off as maybe a weird example because these guys were paid to do this, but there's a bar in Alaska. I don't know if you saw, there was a shooting that took place out in front of a bar in Alaska. And one of the security guards just went outside off their property and looked at this guy and just said, something's up with that guy. We need to do something about it. He alerted all the security staff. They came to the front. They're not allowed to have firearms in there, but in Alaska, you're allowed to have in your own personal property. So his car, he has a rifle in his trunk in his car legally on public property in his private property. Thank God he was paying attention and he had that shepherd mindset. He went to his trunk and opened it to grab his firearm just in case. And literally as he does that, the guy starts opening fire and shooting people. And he's backing up, just spraying randomly at people. And this guy
took him out
and ended his life. But one guy was shot like 6 times and lived, thankfully, because he stopped the threat. But it's like, he's not shooting in their bar. He's not shooting at you. His back is faced to you, but you made it your problem to save other people's lives. That's a moment of courage. And the other security guards, if you watch the scene, everyone else runs. This one guy.
Well, and I think that
stays.
Is the normal.
Of course.
And that's why I've always had so much regard for police officers. And, there's so much bad attention on them. And it kind of pisses me off, actually, because there's like bad people that work at the pharmacy and there's bad people that work at Safeway and in government.
And no one ever tells the full version of the story. I was going 97 in a 50, and the cop pulled me over, and I started cursing at him and yelled at him, and I made a huge scene, and I refused to get out of the car, and I wouldn't comply, and I wouldn't get.
And I was on 6 drugs.
And then he dragged me out of the car, and I had weed in my pocket, and my license was suspended, but he had no right to slam me on the ground and arrest me.
Oh yeah, I know.
All right.
I know. I feel like it's that point that, and I even first responders, fire and aid, they often have to go into situations they are not trained for. They're going to have aid, like when Jamie was shot the first time.
Also, the unknown is so much greater.
Like, think about when Jamie was shot the first time when she was 18. And those guys came at probably before or after the cops, I don't know, but around the same time as the cops. And
into the Central District, which is a really bad neighborhood.
In Seattle. And there were, as the detective told me, that it was the number of bullet casings, he couldn't even tell me. There was too many to even count. As when he was standing there.
Multiple clips, probably just 100 rounds.
So imagine these first responders doing that. So I don't know why we didn't mean to come here and talk about gun violence here today, but I was thinking about when that guy did what he did at the country concert in Vegas, and it was literally a day or two after that Rich had his double hernia surgery, and I went back to go pick him up when he was done, and these guys, there was no one there. Everyone was gone. There was no one there, and all of a sudden, these uh, 8 guys come out with a gurney, and I thought, oh my God, is Rich dead? Because there was nobody else there. But anyways, I'm walking past them. I stopped and thanked them because I couldn't help but think, like, a lot of people think different things when that something like that happens. But I always think about how many people are running away, and there's only like a couple running toward. And so I just stopped to thank this guy, and he was just like, wow, nobody ever says that to us.
Yeah.
And he was just some guy in Palm Desert, California. He had nothing to do with this Vegas thing. But anyway, I think about what you're just saying, Sean, is and how there's just so many different ways that people are courageous, and I think we think of them in the ways of police officers and stuff, and they are, and God bless them, and then our military. And this is why I included your friend and now my friend Johnny in this book. And you know what, Sean, I didn't include him in this book because he was in the military solely. That wasn't really the whole point of a lot of what I talk about in this book with Johnny. What it is what I loved about him is his honesty and transparency in telling me about his fear.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I'm this big bad Black Hawk helicopter pilot badass. It's that he was afraid to even join the military. He wanted to and wanted to serve his country, but he was
discouraged by everyone around him besides maybe me.
Right. And he was, everyone's telling him not to, he's going to die. And you know, then he told me that his fear of not doing it scared him more than dying. And if everybody could literally just pause, I mean, holy crap, that just hit me again. And I wrote the book. That just really hit me, Sean. What if your fear of not doing something, not confronting something, trying something, and having that regret at the end of your life could be greater than your fear?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too, because the small world that you would bring this up at the Las Vegas shooting. And I'm not just saying this, I could name drop them, but I don't know that they want to be, so I'll just use first names. But Will and Kevin are Will was the SWAT commander for Las Vegas PD. I know him personally. I worked with him. And Kevin was the SWAT sergeant. So the first man in the door was the first person to approach this man's body. He was the first guy down the hallway. He was the one who was going to get shot at if the guy was still alive. Will told me this story about obviously the gunfire went on for a really long time. People are running like crazy. It's such pandemonium. People are calling the police on off-duty cops saying there's an active shooter, but it's actually a cop running into the hotel to try and help. Utter chaos. And there was a woman that worked for him, and he said she was frustrating to deal with because she was avoid a fight at all costs type of cop. Like if they were going hands on to put someone down, she was somehow always in the back, like, oh, I was taking care of this. So afraid in all scenarios to really get involved. And he was
probably not the best job for her.
Frustrated with her for that. And he said, even her, when that happened, they subpoenaed everyone's body cam footage, and he actually went through all of it. And she could be seen turning around and sprinting towards the gunfire. A person who was afraid to even get in a team fight with a suspect ran towards gunfire. So even her rose to the occasion.
And I bet if you could talk to every single one of them about this topic, they'd all say they were scared, as Johnny said, scared shitless, right?
But more scared not to do the right thing.
Not to do it. Because it reminds me of, well, let's just let that story sit about Johnny when he first had to jump out of an airplane. Because I think they should read it. Well, no, some people might not read the book. We should tell the story. So Johnny he actually volunteered for airborne school. And so part of it was he had to jump out of an airplane. And, did we mention that this Black Hawk helicopter pilot is terrified of heights? And
has bad vision. Had to go get eye surgery just to even make any of this happen.
Okay, I missed that part in the book. See, you get these bonuses here when you watch these podcasts.
And that story he tells where he could see the whites of everyone's eyes as the plane was going up, no matter how tough they thought they were. The other part of the story that is true is he wasn't the first one out the door, but he was like second or third. And there was a girl in front of him, and she gets to the door, and she puts her hands on the thing and says, "I'm not going."
That's me. Totally me.
So, you're thinking, oh, there's an option, and the commander yelled, "Get out my door!" and soccer kicked her in the back and launched her out of the airplane. So now Johnny is up on deck.
He's gonna get
and
kicked.
he's now realized, not only am I terrified to do this, I don't want to do it. But this guy will kick me out the door literally if I don't do it. So I mean, it's a
the thought of jumping out of an airplane.
and he 7 times or 8 times for jump school.
I keep thinking maybe I'll do it one day just because it scares me. Because I don't like being. It's kind of like.
I have a great excuse. I'm above the weight limit for a parachute, so I don't explain why I don't want to do it.
Yeah. So, but I think that when we look at this whole myth that we're talking about, this courage myth, that it's only for certain types of people. So if you think about it, I'm raised by this mom who's scared of her own shadow.
Mm-hmm.
I could have fallen in line with that thinking. But I was weirdly weird. I don't know why, but I always looked at that and thought, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be scared of everything. Now, there are certain things that you should be scared of and avoid. I mean, we're not talking about running into...
Don't run into a rattlesnake and grab it by the tail.
Yes, to be tough.
Trying to be brave.
Yeah.
That's not brave, that's stupid.
Right.
There is a distinction.
But there's other types of courage. And the reason I put Nikki's section in the book, and I actually have a whole podcast with my daughter-in-law, Nikki. You literally need to go listen to or watch that episode that I did, I don't remember, a few months ago with her. And this is the thing I love about courage. One of the first things she told me is, I don't consider myself courageous. And so what I really brought up in there is that she said, well, I just fell in love with Sean. That's love. That's not courage. Well, I don't know. Because a lot of people knowing your story, you met her a year before Jamie was murdered. You had no relationship really going with Jamie. You were not a fan of her.
Hadn't even been a full year either. It was 11 months.
Yeah, okay. And you weren't a fan of Jamie. All Nikki heard was bad things about Jamie. You were very, I would say that when you met Nikki from that, where you were there, hopefully all of us can say this after a few years pass, that we've improved in certain ways. We've faced
things. Stayed exactly the same.
We've faced things. And I would say that you've come so far in the time since you've met her today. So if you look back at where you were then, it might have been easy for her to go, okay, there's too much going on in his life and his family. And she could have run. And even after, now there's a murder. I remember, Sean, in my life before all this, if somebody had told me that someone in their family was murdered, I would have been reluctant to be around them. Because I would have had certain thoughts about them.
Yeah, do
you think so?
Yeah, you make assumptions and judgments. I don't know that I would have, because I've always, for whatever reason, had this overt need to relate to everybody.
Yes, no question. Now, as soon as you said that, I was like, yep, no, Sean would not have been.
So for me, I don't think that would. I have this weird.
But don't you think a lot of people would?
But I think the majority of people are not like me. They don't. And I'm not saying it's a positive thing. It probably comes from insecurity as a kid, wanting everyone to like me. So I found a way to relate to every single
type of person, yeah.
But yeah, I think for most people, because it happened to me, we've talked about this on here before. So many people are like, yeah, you can hang out with Sean, but he has to come to our house, because they assume that we're in some crack den hovel. And it's like, we're living in a 4,500 square foot house up in Bellevue. Or at one point in time, Gary Payton was our, neighborhood neighbor.
I know.
But the fear that other people had of
you're right. It was the fear of letting their kids around those kind of people. If Jamie's in trouble, then we must all be like that, right? Anyway, so I think that the thing that we have to make a point about, because we've talked so much about people who run to gunfire and those kind of things, that fear is different for everyone. I mean, courage, is different for everyone. And so, because when I think about, I can't imagine doing the stuff Johnny's done. No comprehension of it. Don't want to do it, can't think about it. But I wonder if Johnny would feel the same looking at me, thinking he couldn't imagine having his child murdered. He couldn't imagine living 15 years of fiction.
That really...
Right, so...
Perspective, for sure. Well, I've asked him, along with several other people, because he has a sister as well. Imagine if your sister was just murdered and the only people that care are you and your mom and...
A handful of people.
Yeah, and there's nothing...
Yeah.
It's really... So that is true. There is it's just, I think it's arrogant to look at your own situation and go, look how much courage I have in my situation. It's better to say, to be more like Nikki was, I don't know if I'm being courageous. And you can be being courageous, but you don't need to call it out. So I think that's probably where it comes from.
Right. No, it's not all loud.
You're not looking for credit.
No.
the whole point of this, in my opinion, is that we're telling you that regardless of what you're going through, you need to rise to the occasion and handle it, because there's like an expression that I absolutely love, and I know it's kind of reductive, but we didn't come this far just to come this far.
Good. Yeah. I
love that expression.
Yeah.
This is it? You want to get to here and then
that's the end? Yeah.
You're 45 years old, 50 years old, even 60, 70 years old. You should have 25 years left in your life if things go well. But you're just going to, this hard thing happens, so
you're done.
I'll just sit here.
And, and I think it would be easy for people to do that, but it's kind of like how I mentioned earlier when you told me that Walmart story, and I thought about, maybe I'm the only person that thinks like this about that. I thought a lot of feelings about that story and that guy and everything. But again, I thought about that was a defining moment in his life that he didn't expect. He was going to buy socks and underwear or whatever the heck he was going to buy at Walmart, right?
I know Sean in Phoenix knows his name.
And we're talking about him on a podcast because at that crossroads, at that moment, he chose courage. So there's other types of courage too. And I talked about this in this chapter in Burn the Map. We're only going to talk about two of them because the third one, these three witnesses to Jamie's murder, the third one I bring up actually in the last chapter of the book. I believe it's the last chapter, yes, where we learned something. That witness told another story about courage that we had not anticipated. And I'm not going to talk about it right now. I'm going to wait until we talk about chapter 12 for that. But when again, in that crossroads moment, I don't think at the time, Sean, I thought about these three witnesses that came to testify at Jamie's preliminary hearing for the guy who murdered her. I wasn't thinking about them in beforehand as courage. I was just like, oh, good, we have some witnesses. Thank God someone could come and testify. But they're all in addiction. Well, I don't know about you, but I didn't have a lot of hope.
I'd say more so even than that. Let's look at it from a super practical perspective. This dude on the street is rumored to have killed multiple people prior to.
The guy that killed Jamie.
He's very well known for being basically the shooter for this gang.
Yeah.
We know for a fact he killed Jamie, and they all saw it, so they know he's willing to take a life. Then they know that he also shot somebody else in Arizona. So we have at least two confirmed and then rumored additional. They all still came to court, and everyone would say, well, it's the right thing to do. We're talking about whiskey, who openly talked about, I've been using heroin mixed with methamphetamine for the last 20 years, twice a day. I had two shots a day of it. And the others were doing the same thing, the same combo. You're talking about people who are on these drugs, living the street life in the streets, and they still rose to the occasion, knowing the guy has no regard for human life and is willing to take it.
And they all live in close proximity.
And he threatened all.
And they came.
And they came and did it anyway.
Okay, so
absolutely,
you brought up a good point.
Whiskey was in jail, risked being a snitch, coming to.
Good point.
I mean,
I should have put that in the book.
The SBFF could have told people and potentially gotten him messed up. Who knows?
Right. Okay. So the fact that they came, we appreciated, but I know that by the end of it, we all felt the same way. We were all in awe. And the first witness that took the stand. So picture, people, you're sitting there, the preliminary hearing, it's only Sean, Rich, and I, and our victim's advocate, and another person from the DA's office was there. And then obviously up in the front is the district attorney, the DDA, and the defense attorney, and that POS and all that. They're all up in front. But in the gallery or whatever, and then he had three people. I mean, it was a very small, there was hardly anyone there. And all of a sudden, so you're not facing the doors. The doors are to your back. Picture this, people. The doors open, and you just hear. I'm not good at making sounds of things. Can you make chain sounds?
Yeah, literally, you're like, chink, 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 like eerie, kind of it was weird.
It was.
He was on our side. He was on our team. And he walked past me closer than you and I are right
Well, you
now.
were on the aisle.
And even me, I'm bigger than the guy, and I'm not chinned up. And even me, I got a pit in the bottom of my stomach, nervous, uncomfortable in his presence. Which is funny because he ended up being my favorite.
Yeah.
But
so the witness comes with ankle chains. He had chains around his waist.
So the dude is probably 6'2", 230, 240 pounds. He's a big man.
But he had chains all over.
He's a hardened criminal, tattoos.
And there were three officers with him. like right, one in each side, and I think one in front of him or back of him, behind him. I can't remember. I remember
chains around the waist to the ankles to the wrists.
Yep. I remember thinking to myself, you have to be shitting me. This is our witness. This is what we're
And
going
he was
get.
kind of the star witness.
He was amazing. I mean, he was really amazing. And then Angela, she comes up, poor little thing. I thanked her beforehand, and she came up to me. I've been wanting to meet you. Jamie said so many great things about you. And this poor little thing, you could tell she had like the meth teeth and, not in good shape. You could tell that underneath the weight of the beast, she's a sweet, sweet girl.
She's lived rough, but it doesn't take away her value as a human being.
No, not at all. And she's lived in the house.
A good person with a bad problem.
Exactly. And she saw the murder out her window, her bedroom window. She witnessed it. And then right after that, after the murder, she was escorted out of the house by the defendant and a woman. They escorted her and her friend that hadn't witnessed it. Out they went, and there's no question in my mind Angela would have died that.
It was a death trip. They were taking him to shoot him and throw him in a hole somewhere.
And she jumped out of the car, her and her friend, and ran to the grandma's house. And apparently grandma said, you need to go do this. So picture this too. Now, shots fired calls are coming in all over the place. 911 for that street. The cops come. There's no one to greet them. Typically, someone would be out in the street going, it happened
So
here.
they have to enter an empty home?
They left.
Not even sure what they're looking for.
Yeah, so they left. They didn't know which house. No one knew which house. No one told them. The cops came and they left. 15 minutes later is when Angela was able to escape the car, get to her grandma's, then get back there and called 911. And her grandma said, get back to the house and all that. So 15 minutes, Jamie lay there dying. Well, she was probably dead in less than 15.
Quite a bit quicker than that.
But the point is, she was left alone so that there was no aid, no help. And what I'm really talking about is Angela's perspective. All of this happened to Angela. I don't care if she's on drugs or not. This happened to her. This isn't some Dateline episode, or it's not a one of those Lifetime movie. Mm-hmm. This happened to this little girl at her house where she lives. Mm-hmm. And then someone took her away. And now fast forward like 6 years. She's still living in the same house. He hasn't done anything to her. So maybe she stopped being afraid. I don't know. But he was in jail for most of those years.
Well, and the person that threatened her was not actually him. He wasn't the one that took her on the ride. It was the
girl,
accomplice and someone else.
The accomplice. Let's not even get into that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's no charges against her at this point. But anyways, the point is that Angela still came on that stand, and that attorney, people, shaking, my friends,
terrified.
Oh, that poor girl. And she was horrible. This defense attorney basically called them all, three of them, junkies, just discredited them the best she could. And this is just the preliminary hearing. We haven't even been to the trial where she's going to really put on a show, right?
Here's something you may forget, though. Just a quick little bit of positive light on that. She's sitting there grilling Angela, and she tries to attack the window. You remember saying, how could you see out of the window? Is this not a picture of your window? Da-da-da. And the window was considerably smaller, and part of the window was missing, and little Angela's like, oh yeah, and it looks like, oh shit, she might walk her into saying this window. And then this attorney walks herself into realizing the window was remodeled like 3 months after this happened. It was completely irrelevant. Right. It's like, so Angela clearly saw. Thank you for clarifying. You absolutely had a big enough giant window. Thank you. Appreciate that. Moron.
Yeah, but imagine sitting up there.
That's where you'd like to go. That backfired.
Here's really the point I think we wanted to make about these three witnesses, Sean, is that I think courage is never more of a point made, I guess, than when it would have been easy not to do it.
Yeah. So with whiskey in particular, the other two were, he was a little less flappable and a little less scared than they were. I mean, he was still scared. He had a little bit more of a confidence, but they asked him, did you receive any offers to reduce your crimes? They tried everything. Did you do any? But it doesn't matter. They could get Assisting County to...
No,
he said no, there was nothing. And then they asked him, why would you do this? And he said, because she was my best friend and she was good people and she didn't deserve to die. So at the end of the day, a guy trapped in the drug world, currently incarcerated for illegalities and things, even he was like, this was wrong and I need to do my part to make it better. That's true courage.
Okay, so let's talk about average Joe citizen. Would they do it? A lot of people would not because of fear, and it's a valid fear. I'm not saying it wouldn't. I mean, I would not.
Guys kill her.
Yeah,
he threatened to kill
honestly, I would not judge somebody if they chose not to testify, really, because it's a very serious situation. They'd all been threatened.
Mhm.
This is very, very, very serious. The fact that we made it all those years, 6.5 years, whatever, to a preliminary hearing with those 3 witnesses intact is shocking to me. But I guess the point is that they were standing at that same crossroads, like the Walmart guy, and that day, Monique, who's the third witness, who we're going to talk more about because she her testimony to me wasn't really that. She was kind of all over the place, but what she said, in that testimony was amazing and so. Just wait, you guys. Wait until we get to chapter 12 and you hear that little story. It's unbelievable. But all 3 of them could have so easily said, I don't remember. I'm on drugs.
I didn't see anything.
I'm on drugs. They would be able to get off easier than anyone else.
I saw
right?
nothing. I didn't see. Yeah.
I mean, they could have easily just said, oh, I don't remember that. I did say that. I said that. I don't remember. They could have. And I know that Monique tried not to come. And this is another little piece of courage.
Her son.
But I think let's save that whole thing for chapter 12.
Sure.
Because there's another little piece of courage about that. So I think that you said it earlier, Sean. I think that the best way to close this is for people to think about right now. What are they avoiding or not doing or not stepping up to the plate, ending a relationship? I don't know, whatever it is. What is it that you're avoiding when you could just choose courage? Is it going to be hard?
Yeah.
Is it going to be scary? Yeah. They call it fear. Right? But the whole point of this is that every single person is courageous, and I can prove it. Not one person listening, not one person that's breathing has not faced courage before. Mm-hmm. Every single person, by the time you're, 4 years old and go to kindergarten.
Capable of, yeah.
Right? Have you ever had a first date? Kind of scary. Everybody has ridden a bike. You were scared to get on that bike.
New kid at school, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Job interview. Okay. The list goes on and on and on of
First
things
time
we
driving
face.
on the highway when you're getting a driver's license.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So the fact is, every single person has proven that they have courage inside of them. Are there people that are more wired toward courage? Yeah, sure. But I don't buy it that courage is only for certain people. I think every single person, not should, they must stand up and face what scares them. Because you said it earlier, it will hunt you down.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Sometimes people miss the point of this quote, but there's a quote by Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day. And it's not meaning literal financial success the way people take it, but he says, everyone has to be successful. Failure is not an option. And
no.
What he's really saying by that is that it's not an option to just give up and not try to move forward. That's really what he's saying.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to fail along the way.
And of course, not everyone's going to become a billionaire, governor, or immigrant who did every single thing under the sun level of success that he had, but that's not the point.
Right.
Success is measured in different ways. Same thing with courage. It's everyone has to. It's not an option to fail. What are you going to do? You're just going to give up and just die?
Well, I think the other thing too is if you decide, well, I'm not going to be courageous, then will scary things stop happening in your life?
No.
Because the bottom line is life is scary.
No, you'll just become a recluse who tries to avoid the option.
Right. Yeah. So I think honestly, this is the gift that we're giving you is this advice to, I was looking up for the next chapter here. So don't buy into that big fat lie anymore, that courage is for someone else, that it's not for you, that it's for police officers and first responders. It's for people who join the military. It's for that guy that you know. We all know that one guy who really seems unflappable, right? That we all know that person. That don't buy into that lie that courage is only for them. Courage is for every single person. And next week, we're going to talk about chapter 4 of Burn the Map and the concepts. And by the way, what I love about these episodes, Sean, is we're not following this book. It's just really the basic concepts in there. Mm-hmm. And we're able to talk so much more about them and in depth in these episodes than I can put in a book and keep it, a decent size. So next week, meet us back here, either on YouTube, the YouTube channel. And as Sean said, comment.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. Next week we're going to help you learn a little bit more about how. And that is chapter 4, which is called Master the Warrior Mindset. Everything starts with your thinking, right?
Very true.
Okay, see you next week.